I'm Crystalline. Welcome back to Iris After Hours from Fremont. In case you're wondering why this all looks different, I am here with Ellie Limebear. Such a cool name. She is an amazing vocalist, worship leader. She tours with her dad, who happens to be Martin Smith, and has been doing that for 7 years now, singing with him. Yeah, it's been okay. Budding songwriter, and she's been doing worship here at the conference, and it's so great to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. No, it's great.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
How was your Christmas? Do you guys have family traditions?
Yes. Well, this year was a bit different because I just got married. So
yeah, how recently?
October 21st.
Congratulations.
So 2 months.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy. So this year I spent Christmas with the in-laws, which was
new experience.
New experience. But it was actually amazing. It was really great. But like I have five other siblings. So
you do. You guys have a big family. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were all really, really disappointed. They're like, no, Christmas is over.
It's tough when you start splitting between the families.
Yeah. Yep. So, but they did their own thing on Christmas Day, and then Boxing Day we were back with my family.
I remember Boxing Day. That's a British thing, right?
Is it really? I didn't even know.
Is it?
Maybe.
Like looking at our team.
Great.
I remember that mainly from living in
in
London for 3 years.
Oh, nice.
And that being a cool thing.
Yeah. No, it was great though. Great Christmas.
So you grew up, obviously your dad's in Delirious. When did you, obviously everybody knows this, when did you realize that music was something that was exciting to you, something that you wanted to do?
Wow. Well, in our household, like we always have like instruments out. So like there's always like a piano.
My husband's family's like this.
Really? Yeah. Like always a guitar in the corner of the room, or I think one point in the house there was a trombone. It was a disaster. Ooh. Yeah, it was an absolute disaster.
Give that one a try.
Yeah, we were just like, yeah, that's going. So there's like always music in the house, always like music like being played, or someone, like my brother's really into music, so he would be like, oh, there's this like new song everyone has to listen to, or like over dinner. So like, you know, so there's always that going on. So I feel like it's like part of me, music anyway, just like throughout my life, it's always been kind of there. So, but me discovering music as like what I wanted to do was probably more of like dad, like traveling with dad, and just like I've never thought like I want to be a singer, or I really want to be a worshiper. Like I never had that like ambition or dream, or I loved singing. Like I loved singing just like in my room, or like wherever. Just
it didn't really matter where it went.
No, I was just like this is fun.
I love
you know. So when I was 13, we're at a conference, a G12 conference in Colombia, and I think it was me and my brother just went with my dad, and I remember one afternoon he was like, "Els, why don't you just like sing tonight? Like, here's some
on stage at the concert."
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, "What? Like, I've never done this, like anything like that."
Okay.
He was like, "Why don't you just like sing? Like, just stand at the back and like doesn't matter what you sing. I don't know if you can harmonize either, but like just try it. Like, let's just go for it."
That's amazing. So, with a mic though, you guys are
with
mic'd.
a mic. Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's not just for fun. You guys are singing.
Yes, singing. But I didn't realize how many people were going to be there, and then it turns out to be like 12,000 people in this church, and it was like absolutely mental. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, when you just don't have time to like think about it,
don't have time to be nervous.
I'm there.
Okay.
So that was quite scary, but like dad kind of, he's like always done that, just like pushed me, like not in like a forceful way or like you have to do this, but like why not? Come on, let's just try it. So from then,
and he already knew that that's something you loved.
Yes,
to do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of from then I've just like, oh no, I love singing. Like I love, you know, being in worship, and I love, you know, off stage, on stage, whatever it, you know, it doesn't matter. So I just, I think from then it's kind of been like, oh, I'd love to do this. Like,
that's awesome. Yeah. How many are your other siblings musical as well?
Yes. So my brother, who's 18, he's an amazing drummer.
Nice.
And sings, and very creative. And then Indy plays piano, Levi plays guitar, Ruby sings, and then Mary's a football player. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so bit of everything.
Love it.
Sport, yeah.
And so were you ever Were you ever intimidated by who your dad was in the musical sense, or was that always just an encouraging thing for you? It kind of flowed really easily. You never felt that like, oh no, I can't really do this, or
Yeah, I've like had people say that to me before. Like it must have been like really difficult, like growing up, like having dad. Like, do you ever feel like you can never do it, or like I'm like no, this is amazing. Like he's such an encouragement, and like this is not like a goal that I don't want to be dad. I don't want to, but I want God to do something totally different in my life, and like use what I've learned traveling with dad and singing with dad, but like do something else, God. Like I don't want the same thing. So I think total encouragement rather than
That's
like
so
barrier
cool.
of like, oh no, I have to do what dad's doing.
That's so cool.
So I think he's so encouraging though.
I love it. And how often did you guys get to travel with him as a family? Was that a normal part of tour life when the band was going? Or
yes.
It was?
Yes. So when Delirious was together, we used to travel for a month every year with the family.
Okay.
So pretty mental. But there was...
Which is a big family.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And like all the cousins. So in the band...
All the cousins?
Yeah. In the band, like they were all my uncles basically. So their kids would come. So it was like all my cousins.
Yeah.
So there would be, I think there was like 20 kids in total that would travel, like every
This is tour buses?
Tour buses, yeah, in America. Normally.
In America, okay.
So it'd be like 4 weeks touring. So they're like such fond memories of mine. Just like every year, on tour buses. And like now, even when I go on a tour bus, I'm like the smell, like brings me back to
childhood.
That's
like,
so
cool.
Eating Fruit Loops. Like now I realise how bad they are for you. But like then you're just like, this is amazing.
It doesn't even touch you when you're that age. It's fine.
It's fine. It's all good.
It's fine.
But so it was so much fun.
And how did your songwriting journey begin? You're kind of branching out into that.
Yes.
Has that been something you've done for a while?
So I think I've had so many piano lessons like over the years, like from when I was really little. And then, but never actually really enjoyed it. Like I never really enjoyed piano lessons.
Yeah, I had piano lessons for like a second.
Yeah, I was just, I'd go every week and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm like learning, but I'm not learning. But like, and after
learning, I guess.
It's just like they would, like really amazing teachers. But I just didn't want to learn like the song, So after every piano
do you think
lesson,
that's because it was someone else's song? Or it was the piano itself?
I think what freaked me out was like the structure of like, this is how it's played, and like, I just want to like play whatever. So I think after every piano lesson, I remember just like when they left the house or something, I'm like, I can just like, play whatever I want, even if it sounds bad, but like try things out and if it's clunky or, so I love just like sitting there, just twinkling, figuring stuff out and just writing song. Like, I don't even remember like what I wrote. It was probably really, really lame. But just enjoying like my own company and just being able to just, work it out. So I think from when I was younger, just loving singing out whatever in my bedroom, just like writing songs about whatever. And then we at our home church in Brighton, it's called St. Peter's, and we started like this like music collective, creative sort of group, maybe like 3 years ago.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah, so fun. It's amazing. And so that's called Bright City. And 3 years ago, our worship pastor, Paul, he was like, oh, why don't we just like gather some songwriters in the church or people we think, could songwrite or whatever. So there's about 10 of us, and I was 17 then, and still hadn't ever written a proper song.
Right.
It was just
played
like,
around, but
little riffs here and there, piano things. So when he chose me to like be part of this team, I was like, okay, like, it's a bit weird, but thank you, honoured.
Yes.
All
right,
okay.
Okay.
I'll be part of it.
Yeah.
And so we just got in the room and we'd break off into like three groups of people and just try and write songs, and that turned into like an album, and then we've now got a second album. So it's kind of that process of like, I love collaborative work now. Like that's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Working with people and
co-writing.
Yeah, co-writing. So just, you know, people saying, oh no, I don't like that. Oh, like, you know, it's really, I love it. Like, oh yeah, no, that's actually not a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, no, let's carry on. You know,
Great. Yes.
Yeah,
Needed to hear that.
needed to hear
Awesome.
that. So I think from then that's like encouraged me to.
And
like,
these are
song my
worship
mom.
albums?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that's where your passion is? Do you want to do singer-songwriter stuff too?
Yeah, I think worship is definitely like my heart, but I'd love to write music that's like for like this next generation, and like it might look differently, like worship music that we've ever heard or played before, but I'd love to write songs that are like just meet people where they're at. I really would love to write songs that like that sound like sonically, like the production of it, just like what you'd hear on the radio, you know, that my friends, like my non-Christian friends, could play in their car, you know, driving to work, that they're like, oh, this is a great song. But the lyrics or like the stuff behind it is like God breathed, and, you know, so who knows? But yeah, that's what I'd
exciting.
love to write. Yeah.
And how did you clearly have a really deep and meaningful relationship with the Lord. What was that like growing up and kind of entering into that on your own, and obviously being in such a solid God-loving family, but developing that on your own?
Yes.
Especially on the road while doing worship and all of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. I mean, my parents are unbelievable, like super, we're very, very close.
Yeah.
You know, we're very honest with each other. And, you know, we can say what we love about each other and what we, you know, you need to change that, you know, straight
right away,
you know,
right away.
Like, you don't have to like say it politely, you know.
I love that.
So
it's awesome.
I have a really, really close family, and I think through the years, like mum and dad have always been very encouraging, and for us to go to church every week, you know, every Sunday, we're all going as a family, let's all go. You can like help out on kids team maybe, or you can do youth, or if you want to, you know, why don't you try out music stuff? So they've always kind of pushed us like, oh, just, you know, if you don't want to sit in the service, why don't you help out, you know, or pour the coffee for, you know. So they're very, I don't know, it's always been part of our, I don't know, schedule is like going to church every Sunday. And I think, it was never like a forceful thing, because if it was, I think almost our look on church would be like really different.
Right, that didn't turn you off from any of it.
No, whatsoever. And so going to church and having an amazing community of people, like older, younger, your friends. I think that's what's amazing about church, is like the range of age that like you can be a part of.
Yeah.
Like nowhere else in society that people can have like
so much interaction.
Yes. Like a 50-year-old friend, you know. And I have 6-year-old friends that I like can turn to, you know. I think that's amazing with church. You can just and then chat to a 6-year-old and be like, hey, you're right, you know, and that not be weird.
Yeah.
You know. So I absolutely loved church growing up and being part of the community. And so throughout my life, church being a main thing. And then I've always like known God is real, like in my heart, and Jesus is my savior. But I remember when I was like, I think I was like 7, I remember like kneeling in my room on the ground. I probably had some sort of music. I don't think it was Christian music in the background. I think it was probably like Sugar Babes or something.
Cool. Yeah.
But I remember, and I'm the eldest of 6 children. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so
okay.
They're all younger than me. And I remember, and I love them to bits, absolutely love them. And I remember feeling like, oh, Lord, like my whole life is like church and God, and like, but are you real? Like, I would love to really know you as like a friend. Like, I can't believe I was saying this as a 7-year-old though.
I was
like,
gonna
you know,
say,
like,
that's
I remember
amazing.
it, just like, and then I remember just like weeping, and like, Jesus, please come into my life, and just, you know. I remember praying that prayer, and then from on.
This is by yourself.
Yeah, this is by myself.
That's awesome.
Just like crying. But then I think I probably moved on quite quickly. As a 7-year-old, like your attention span just goes. And then I remember growing up in high school and, you know, all these things going on in your life and kind of being, I don't know, confused maybe a bit. Just, you know, lots of my friends saying, oh, God's not real. Like, how come he did this? You know, why did my dad die? Or, you know, like, as like a teenager, like, I don't know why dad died, you know, and just like, prove to me that God's real, or prove to me that Jesus is like, all of that. So I remember being like, oh, I really, you know, I need to know these things to, you know, because I believe it, but I want to have like proof, or I want to have facts to, and I remember we were in Colombia actually at the conference that when Dad first brought me to, and I think it was maybe like a couple of years after, and I remember Dad was leading worship, and I was like right at the back of the auditorium, and just like, oh, Jesus, like I've never been filled like your Holy Spirit. Like I would love to experience that, you know. I've seen crazy things, what the Holy Spirit can do throughout my life, like people falling over, people like shaking, people like speaking in tongues. I'd love, that sounds amazing. You know, I'd love to experience that. So I remember just asking the Lord to just like fill me with your Spirit, and I was like, I don't know what is going to happen, you know, like that question of like fill me with your Holy Spirit is, you know, it's risky. So
literally seen some crazy stuff.
Absolutely,
anything could be happening right now.
Yeah, totally. So I remember asking that, and then completely just like was filled with the Holy Spirit, and just like shook so much, and just
you're 13.
I was 13.
Wow,
yeah,
awesome.
So I remember feeling like, oh, okay, you do hear me, you are listening,
you are clearly real,
and you're here. So I think from that moment on, I'm like, I'm all in, like I know you're real, like whatever, like these crazy questions that people ask me, I'm like, I don't know how to answer that, but I
still don't know how to answer those.
Totally. Like, I'd love to have like a long list of things that I can throw back at you to say, you know, but I don't. But I know that he's real, and I love him. It's an experience.
It's undeniable.
Totally. So I think, growing up in church has been a main thing. Being surrounded with community and, you know, people who love the Lord is amazing. And just knowing for yourself is so important, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Were you able to kind of clue in at an early age how big Delirious was getting? Like what an impact it was having? Or was it kind of like you guys were in it, so it's kind of hard to gauge?
Yeah.
Because now obviously you look back and everybody talks about it's a worldwide impact it's had. You know, it changed worship music.
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
But was that something you could understand when you guys were going through it?
I don't think so.
Or was it just like, we're on the ride?
Yeah, and I think, and people have said like, what's it like to have like Martin Smith as your dad? I'm like, that's my dad. I don't.
Oh, I feel that way.
You know?
People ask me that all the time. I'm like, I didn't grow up any other way, so I can't. I don't know.
Totally.
It was good.
So like, absolutely. So,
I don't have another thing to compare it to, I guess.
Yeah, like, oh yeah.
Obviously, not Martin Smith is my dad. Heidi Baker's my dad. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Totally. So I think touring and like, you know, being immersed in that world, whatever you call it, I was like, oh, it's my dad. This is his job, you know, also his ministry. And so I don't think we ever fully grasped what it, you know, we were just in it, loving it, you know, getting to like skate round and in sound check. So just, you know, just that was what we did. Just living, I remember just being in America was like the absolute highlight of like every year.
Did you love the States growing up?
That's cool. So many memories. Like Philadelphia on a bagel just reminds me of America. You know, just love it. So I think we've always just like, oh, this is what dad does, you know. And then coming also in England, like it's not a big deal. Like he's, you know, he can walk around, or, you know, no one knows who dad is, or nothing, you know, no problem whatsoever. And then I remember coming back to America and everyone was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is weird. Like, why?
Do Americans just do that? I feel like they just do that with bands more than anyone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And Asia though as well. Like, he was like big there, but I was a bit confused. I was like, what is going on? Like back at home, you know, no one wants your autograph, and you know, like no one wants to, you know.
So, kept humble at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So but I'm so proud of him, like what he's done. Like now I look back, just like, oh wow, that was such a thing, you know. And people would travel all over to come to one of the Delirious gigs, and I think that's great. You know, it's amazing, and I didn't know the impact that they were making then, but now when I hear stories of, you know, people still come up to that, like, that song, like History Maker, or, you know, did you feel the mountain? Like, I remember being in my room. You know, I was like, oh, wow, like, this is, you know, what an amazing impact that you know, the music had.
This is so random, but there's an Iris staff member asked me to ask, were you one of the kids that ran out on stage and threw soccer balls into the crowd? Do you remember this at all?
Was it T-shirt? No.
Okay, he says he went to a Delirious concert and they said something about, we're just going to have all the kids run out and throw all these soccer balls.
That probably was us.
Okay. Yeah. In the audience. And he was just saying he was really impacted by how much family was involved in the touring and in the band. And he was there apparently and loved it. And so he was like, was that her? I was like, probably.
It was us.
But he was just, their family, I think, was impacted by how they integrated family life and their kids into it, which obviously you felt growing up, which is so cool because that's not always the norm.
Totally.
And were there challenges to that kind of lifestyle for you, or was there scrutiny that comes from having a family in notoriety that's well known?
Yeah, I think I definitely, I don't know, being in school and like in England, like it's, no one's really a Christian. Like if you're a Christian, like you stick out, or like, and I think that's different in America. Like, you know, people will call themselves Christians quite a bit, but in the UK, it's like you're the weirdo if you're a Christian, you know, like you go to church, you're holy, you know, so it's, I think growing up being a Christian and then also having like a dad who does Christian music, you know, and worship, and so people would be like, oh, so what does your mum and dad do? You know, and that, or I'd ask them and they'd be like, oh, like a plumber, and my mum's a nurse, and what does your mum and dad do? I'm like, you know, freak out, like, how do I word this? So like, I don't look like a weirdo, but also I don't want to lie, you know, like, but how do I word this? So it was always like, yeah, my dad does music and he's in a band and he's writes like it's like Christian music, and but it's like rock, you know, it's kind of like, it's not like hymns, but it's like, but there's like electric guitars and there's, you know, and you're just like he's a worship leader. You know, like you can't really.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Have it.
Do what you will with that.
So I think that was like probably a bit of a struggle, like being like the odd one out of like your group of friends. Not like the odd one out, but just like lifestyle's very different and traveling heaps, and people like would be like, what do you do? Like when you go away, like what does your dad actually do? Or like, what, you know, you say your dad's going to a conference, like, does that mean like a conference, like board meeting, you know, like, does he, you know, and it's like, like I've grown up just like conference to, you know, amazing conferences, but to us, the word conference is totally different to a conference call, you know? So I think that was probably a bit difficult.
Definitely not a board meeting.
Definitely not board meeting.
Not that.
Completely different. Yeah, so probably just wording it and not freaking people out, but also like, this is the reality. Yeah.
Was there a shift when you guys stopped traveling as much and the band ended and you guys were at home more? How was that for you? Was that a sad thing? Was that like, oh, we have more time at home? Yeah. Good.
Man, I remember when like the last gig of Delirious, it was I think it was Hammersmith Apollo in London, and just the whole, like, all the families got on stage, all the kids got on stage, and everyone's a mess. You know, all of us kids were like lost, like absolutely lost it. But still don't think we really realised what was happening. You know, like, it's the end, but does this mean we're gonna like have a reunion till like next year? You know, in your head you're like,
surely, right?
Yeah, totally. We're like, don't worry guys, we'll all get back on tour buses one day, you know. So I think it was probably a big shift, just like, oh right, so this is like the actual end of like this season. You know, oh, we actually are gonna be at home like heaps more, which is great, you know. And then I think, and it was just weird because we're all family. So like all my cousins were like Delirious kids. So we'd all be in the same boat and then like go to church. You know, we all went to the same church. So on Sundays, it'd be like,
everyone lived in the same town.
Yeah, it's cool. Tiny.
That's awesome.
It's tiny. So still at the end of Delirious, like you'd see everyone like every week, like, hey,
That's great.
it's amazing. But I think, it was definitely a shift, I remember. But mum and dad are amazing, and dad still did like solo stuff like from then.
And is that kind of when you started singing more and more?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which is amazing. And like now I look back, it's crazy, isn't it? When you're in it, you're like, life's over. Like this is the end forever. We're never, it's never going to be fun from now on. But now, like looking back, it was actually like Delirious was an unbelievable season, and just the experiences and people we met, and how we, how mum and dad kind of taught us to like look into people's eyes and make sure like all those lessons and how to be with people. And then dad, leaving Delirious and then being at home more, and like having someone at home like who can fix the printer, and like, oh my goodness, like this is, this is broken, and like, oh, this is actually nice to have like a dad at home heaps more, to like the day-to-day
because
things.
he was still gone a lot.
Yes.
You guys didn't get to go all the time.
No,
so
totally.
that was definitely different.
Yes. So mum was like the mum and dad of the house for like those times when he was away. So it was so nice, having him home for a bit.
Wow.
It was so good, yeah.
So awesome. Thank you for sharing.
No,
I love it. Thank you for being so open and giving us a glimpse just into that world. It's so fun. I have a few informal questions for you, if that's okay. Do you have a favorite movie?
She's the Man.
Yes? We have team members. Remind me what this is. I feel bad.
Bynes.
Okay.
And like,
I don't think I've seen it. I love her.
Yes, she's great.
Okay.
And Dumb and Dumber.
Okay. Yes, I know that one.
You know that one.
Love that
Jim
one.
Carrey.
Yeah, great. Okay, I have to see it now. I'm embarrassed I haven't seen it. Great. Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Okay, love it. Me too.
Always.
If you could pursue any other profession, you're kind of starting out like in songwriting, and that's your dream, of course. But and worship leading, I'm sure you're doing what you want to do. But if you could pursue anything else, what would it be?
Well, I work as a photographer also at home.
How awesome.
Yeah, which is brilliant. So maybe do that even more.
Okay.
I don't
know.
That's
great.
I don't think that's a proper answer.
That's a great answer.
Let's do it already, but
No, I love it. Yes, even more. And I'm like forgetting some of these now. What are you most excited about for 2018?
The unknown. I'm very excited about that because I literally don't really have a job at the moment. So
okay. So you're embracing it.
Yeah, absolutely embracing it.
Okay.
So got no idea what is, I don't have like a day-to-day thing. So I'm so pumped to see what happens, really.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace that as well for me. The unknown.
Just the unknown.
It's perfect. Yeah.
This time next year, what's it going to look like?
Yeah. That's so awesome. Thank you for being here.
So
You're so awesome. And we hope you guys have loved hearing some of the stories. It's been so fun. And thank you for listening, for watching. You can subscribe to our podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have comments or questions you'd like to hear us ask, you can leave them in the comment section under our YouTube channel. And until next time.
This podcast is presented by Iris Global. For more information or to support the work of Iris Global, please visit us online at irisglobal.org.